Well, it's another lovely day near Lake Winnebago, and it's more evidence that during the winter they keep the lake level lower in order to avoid damage from the ice when it blows in to shore um, along people's property, where it will, run up onto their yard and their front yards with no trees, slide up, and sometimes even push houses off of their foundations. There's a lot of friction out there when there's wind blowing on that ice. And, if you have 33 miles of ice with wind scouring its surface, it can start to move. And there's really no stopping it. It's like a train. Anyway, this is Lake Winnebago, and I'm over here. I'm here near High Cliff, and you can see the Niagara Escarpment behind me. Um, that runs all the way down to Fond du Lac, and it goes north of here up along the route that the glacier tore away at it and left this sort of flat area through most of north central Wisconsin. But as you get over my shoulder here, is High Cliff State Park. And it's maybe a quarter mile from where I'm standing right now. I'm at a public boat landing. You can see some people have their vehicles out on the ice, so they must have taken something out on the ice, maybe an ATV, and or maybe they're just taking their ice fishing buckets and sleds to drag out there and do some ice fishing here in late season. But they're in just a few feet of water right there if they do go through. Then they get to play with their winches. But anyway, the reason that I come here most often is because it's a boat landing. And what we do is, up by that fire hydrant, we rig our sails and then we put in right down here. Now, the bottom, as you can see, is sort of rocky at this site. There's a lot of sand, but it's also quite rocky. And so it's not as pleasant a place as further west. As you go across the North Shore, there's sandbars that go way out, and a sand bottom is very nice if you get off your board, and it's shallow a long ways out. So, even here you can see earth sticking up way away from here at the boat landing. So it's not a very deep boat landing, so nobody puts a big boat in here, but small craft go in here quite well. And I could see people on paddleboards using this site as well if it weren't for the fact that the bottom is kind of rocky. I remember as a child when we would go to High Cliff to swim at the beach, it was rocky there too. You'd be, your tender feet would be protesting. You're walking on the bottom there. So you wanted to get out and then just stay offshore for a ways so that you didn't have to bear much weight on with your feet on the rocks. But as you go further towards Menasha, Waverly Beach is a gathering place for a lot of power boats, and they'll anchor offshore, and people will wade in to listen to live music, sit at the tiki bar that's outside, maybe order a meal on the patio outside. It's just a cool scene to be near the lake. Some people are lower impact than others, though. So the craft that you choose to enjoy this can be very impactful. If you're hauling trailers and you're using motorized craft in order to go out and enjoy the lake, you're adding a lot of noise to the scene. You're adding a lot of carbon to the atmosphere and oil products into the water. So they tend to be higher impact, And yes, the water, as the wave action happens, breaks that stuff down, and it gets aerated, and a lot of the chemicals settle out onto the bottom and ends up in our fish. Mercury and lead. So there are warnings on fishing, how much you can consume here. Some of it's industrial waste related, but a good share of it is from the leaded gas that people used to use. Now we don't sell leaded gas anymore. And that stuff just doesn't go away. It's just right there in the sediment. It becomes part of the food chain for the fish. So I'm thoughtful about what I would use for a craft out here. When I was a child, my father had motorboats. We water skied, we tubed, but I moved away from that. As a young man, I made the choice, not just because of affordability, but also because of environmental consciousness.